The diplomatic deception. The invitation arrived on crystalline data slate, its surface shimmering with the iridescent glow of Galactic Council authority. Ambassador Sarah Chun held it in her hands, feeling the subtle warmth that marked authentic Council communication, and knew immediately that everything was about to change. "Invitation," she muttered, setting the slate on her desk aboard the diplomatic station Concord. "They're not even pretending anymore. 15 years. 15 years since that first contact, since the Valoran scout ship had appeared over Earth's moon and humanity had collectively held its breath." Sarah remembered watching the broadcasts as a university student, tears streaming down her face as the alien ambassador had spoken those historic words. "You are not alone. You are welcomed." Welcomed. What a carefully chosen word that had been. Sarah's assistant, David Kumar, entered her office with 2 cups of coffee, real Earth coffee, smuggled aboard at considerable expense. "You've read it then," he said, not a question. "Every word." Sarah accepted the cup gratefully. "The Council requests my presence for urgent consultations regarding humanity's accelerated development and integration concerns. They want me there in 48 hours. "Requests," David echoed, his tone matching her earlier sarcasm. He'd been with her for 5 years, long enough to understand the careful dance of galactic politics. The Catharian delegation? Leading the consultation. Sarah pulled up her holodisplay, centuries of alien faces flickering before her. She stopped at one High Chancellor Vexther, his chitinous features arranged in what passed for a diplomatic expression among his species. "They've been pushing this narrative for months. Humanity is advancing too quickly. Humanity doesn't respect the traditional hierarchies. Humanity asks too many questions. Humanity won't stay in its designated box," David finished. He moved to the window, staring out at the swirling nebula that served as the station's backdrop. "Do you think they know?" Sarah's hand instinctively moved to the encrypted comlink embedded in her watch, military grade, shielded from every scanning technology the Council possessed. At least, that's what Admiral Rodriguez had promised her. "If they knew about Titan," she said quietly, "we wouldn't be having this conversation. The fleet would already be en route to Earth." The jump to Council Station Omega took 36 hours aboard the high-speed diplomatic transport. Sarah spent the time reviewing every treaty, every agreement, every carefully worded clause that humanity had signed over the past decade and a half. The documents read differently now, with the perspective of hindsight. Protection clauses that looked like safety nets now revealed themselves as restrictions. Technology sharing agreements that seemed generous were actually limitations, always receiving, never truly innovating. Council Station Omega hung in the void like a jeweled crown, its 1,000 spires catching the light of 3 nearby stars. Home to 200 species, center of galactic governance for 10,000 years, monument to an order that had existed since before humans had discovered fire. Sarah had always found it beautiful. Today, it looked like a cage. The council chamber was designed to intimidate. Every species had contributed to its construction, resulting in a vast amphitheater where gravity, atmosphere, and even time itself could be adjusted section by section. Sarah stood on the human platform adjusted to Earth normal gravity. Temperature set to a comfortable 22 degrees Celsius and faced the assembled representatives. High Chancellor Vexther dominated the center platform, his massive form easily 3 meters tall. Around him, arranged in the traditional hierarchy, sat representatives from the 53 member civilizations. Sarah noted the Zalfian Admiral Kresh, military commander of the Council's enforcement fleet, positioned prominently at Vextheris. Ambassador Chun, Vexther's voice rumbled through the chamber's translation matrix. "We are pleased you could join us on such short notice." "The honor is mine, High Chancellor," Sarah replied, keeping her voice steady. "Though I confess some confusion about the nature of these consultations. Then allow us to clarify." Vexter gestured, and the chamber's central holodisplay activated. Earth appeared, rotating slowly, beautiful and blue and utterly vulnerable. 15 years ago, we welcomed humanity into the galactic community. A young species, we thought, enthusiastic, eager to learn. Images began to cascade across the display. Human ships, mining vessels, exploration craft, colony transports, research stations, diplomatic outposts, the expanding sphere of human presence in nearby systems. We did not anticipate, Vexter continued, the speed of your expansion. Most species require centuries to establish themselves beyond their homeworld. You have done so in less than 2 decades. We're quick learners, Sarah said, allowing a hint of pride into her voice. Too quick. This from Admiral Kresh, his reptilian features twisting with barely concealed hostility. Your rate of technological advancement is unprecedented, dangerous. You consume resources at an alarming rate. You ask questions that challenge established protocols. You refuse to acknowledge your place in the natural order. There it was. The real issue laid bare. Our place, Sarah repeated softly. And where exactly is our place, Admiral? Under protective governance, Vexter said smoothly, reclaiming control of the conversation. We have prepared a new framework for Earth's integration. You will maintain autonomy in domestic affairs, of course. But expansion, military development, and technological research will be conducted under Council supervision. For our own protection, Sarah said. Precisely. Vexter's mandibles clicked in what might have been satisfaction. The galaxy is dangerous, Ambassador. Ancient rivalries, territorial disputes, weapons capable of cracking planets. Surely you understand that humanity, in its current state, is not prepared to navigate these waters alone. Sarah's comlink pulsed once against her wrist. A message from Earth, compressed and encrypted, delivered via the network of quantum relays humanity had spent years establishing. She didn't need to read it to know what it said. She'd been expecting this call since the moment the invitation arrived. I appreciate the Council's concern, she said, buying time while her mind raced. However, such a fundamental change to Earth's status would require extensive consultation with our government. I don't have authority to agree to these terms. We anticipated this response. Vexter gestured again, and the display shifted. Now it showed ships, hundreds of them, military vessels bearing the markings of the Zalthian hegemony. The Admiral's fleet currently conducts exercises near your home system. Routine maneuvers, of course. But given the sensitivity of this situation, we thought it prudent to ensure stability in the region. A threat, not even disguised. I see, Sarah said. And how long do I have to consult with my government? 72 hours, Admiral Kresh said, and Sarah heard the satisfaction in his voice. After which we will require Earth's formal acceptance of protective status. Should your government prove uncooperative, the fleet will take necessary measures to ensure compliance and regional security. Sarah's heart hammered in her chest, but her face remained calm. Years of diplomatic training, of poker faces and careful words, served her now. 72 hours. That's quite generous, Admiral. Asterisk, she made a show of checking her personal display, running calculations, appearing to consider logistics. In reality, her mind was flying through everything she knew, everything she'd been told in those classified briefings before leaving Earth. Very well, she said finally. I'll need to return to Earth immediately to present these terms to the Security Council. I assume the Council has no objection to my departure? None whatsoever, Vexter said, though we encourage speed. The galaxy watches, Ambassador. It would be unfortunate if Earth's answer came too late. The return journey took another 36 hours. Sarah spent the first hour composing an official report, one she knew would be intercepted and read by Council intelligence. It outlined the situation in careful diplomatic language, expressed appropriate concern, and requested immediate consultation with Earth's leadership. Then she locked herself in her quarters, activated every privacy protocol the transport possessed, and pulled up the secure military channel. Admiral James Rodriguez appeared on screen, his weathered face drawn with exhaustion. Behind him, Sarah could see the command center of Defense Station Archimedes, humanity's primary military coordination hub. Hidden in the asteroid belt where Council sensors couldn't reach it, they made their move, Sarah said without preamble. We intercepted the fleet movements 6 hours ago, Rodriguez confirmed. 300 ships, Admiral Kresh commanding. They're positioned just outside Sol's heliopause. Officially exercises. Realistically, an invasion force waiting for the order. 72 hours, Sarah said. That's our countdown. Then it's time. Rodriguez leaned forward. The Titan is ready, Ambassador. Has been for 3 months now. We've just been waiting for the right moment to reveal her. Sarah closed her eyes, feeling the weight of what they were about to do. Titan. 12 years of secret development. 12 years of humanity's best minds working in hidden facilities, scattered across the Kuiper Belt. 12 years of taking Council technology, studying it, understanding it, and then doing what humans did best, improving it. How long until she can jump? Sarah asked. Captain Webb reports all systems green. They can be underway in 6 hours. Transit time to Council space is 62 hours at maximum burn. Sarah did the math. 68 hours total. 4 hours inside their deadline. Cutting it impossibly close, but then humanity had always specialized in impossible. Send the activation code, she said. Operation Titan protocol is go. Rodriguez nodded grimly. Ambassador, once Titan reveals herself, there's no going back. The galaxy will never see us the same way. Good, Sarah said, and was surprised by the steel in her own voice. Because I'm tired of them seeing us as children who need to be controlled. It's time they saw what happens when you corner humanity. It's time they learned that we don't just survive, we evolve. The signal went out on channels the Council didn't know existed. Using quantum encryption they couldn't break. Carried on relay networks they'd never detected. Deep in the Kuiper Belt, in a construction facility that officially didn't exist, lights began to activate. Reactors that could power entire cities hummed to life. Weapon systems that redefined the concept of firepower ran their final diagnostics. And Captain Marcus Webb, standing on the bridge of Unseaton, smiled. Helm, he said quietly, take us to war. In her quarters, Sarah Chun watched Earth grow larger in her viewport, that beautiful blue marble that suddenly seemed so fragile. In 68 hours, everything would change. The galaxy would learn that humanity had been preparing for this moment since the day first contact was made. They'd wanted Earth to know its place. Instead, Earth was about to show them that humanity's place was wherever they damn well chose to stand. The comlink pulsed one. Final message. Titan en route. Eta, 68 hours. See you on the other side. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. See you there, Captain. The die was cast. Now came the hardest part waiting. Asterisk, when stars trembled the Zalthian, hegemony had perfected the art of intimidation over 3,000 years of galactic dominance. Admiral Kresh understood this as he surveyed his fleet from the command throne of the inexorable 300 warships arranged in the traditional Spear of Judgment formation, a display that had brought countless worlds to their knees without firing a single shot. Earth hung before them like a sapphire, waiting to be plucked, its moon a pale guardian that would offer no protection. Primitive orbital stations dotted the space around the planet research facilities, manufacturing hubs, defensive platforms that Kresh's tactical officers had dismissed as quaint in their briefings. 47 hours remaining, his second-in-command, Commander Thrall, reported. No indication that the humans are preparing any resistance. Their military vessels have actually pulled back from forward positions. Fear, Kresh said with satisfaction. They understand the futility of opposition. Ambassador Chun has no doubt informed them of our terms. They will accept protective governance, and order will be maintained. What Admiral Kresh didn't know what the Council's intelligence apparatus hadn't detected despite 15 years of careful observation was that humanity's actual military vessels were nowhere near Earth. The ship's sensors detected were civilian craft hastily fitted with military transponders, theater, misdirection. The real weapons had never been where the Council was looking. Aboard the diplomatic transport Reconciliation, now just 6 hours from Earth, Sarah Chun sat across from David Kumar in the secure conference room. Between them, a holodisplay showed the Zalthian fleet in real time, courtesy of the Deep Space Monitoring Network humanity had quietly established. They looked so confident, David observed. They should be, Sarah replied. By every metric the Council uses to measure military power, that fleet could sterilize Earth's surface 3 times over. Kresh has brought enough firepower to fight a major war. But they're measuring wrong. They're measuring what they know. Shield strength, hull integrity, weapon yields based on plasma and particle beam technology. It's remained essentially unchanged for 2 millennia. Sarah pulled up another display, this one showing a single ship, sleek and dark, its lines suggesting predatory grace. They've never encountered human innovation at scale. The Unsatan had been built on principles the Council had never explored, while Galactic powers refined 1,000-year-old technologies to fractional improvements. Humanity had asked different questions. Why use particle beams when railguns could achieve higher velocities? Why rely on energy shields when reactive armor and point defense grids offered better mass-to-protection ratios? Why build slow, heavily armored dreadnoughts when you could create something fast enough to rewrite tactical doctrine? Titan was humanity's answer to every assumption the galaxy had made about warfare. And in 41 hours, the Council would get their first glimpse of what happened when humans stopped asking permission and started innovating. Deep space. Kuiper Belt edge 16 hours earlier. Captain Marcus Webb stood on Titan's bridge and felt the ship come alive around him. The bridge crew 200 of Earth's finest, drawn from 30 nations and selected for their ability to think laterally under pressure, moved with practiced efficiency through final pre-jump checks. Engineering reports all reactors at optimal. Lieutenant Chun Zhao called from his station. Fusion cores 1 through 8 green. Antimatter containment stable. We're carrying enough punch to run at full combat power for 6 months. Weapon status? Webb asked. All railgun batteries loaded and ready. Missile bays fully stocked. 3,000 Valkyrie interceptors, 800 hammer strike packages, 200 Godbreaker ship killers. Commander Sarah O'Brien's voice carried a note of satisfaction. Point defense grid is hot. If it moves and we don't want it to, we can kill it. Webb nodded, pulling up the tactical display. Titan stretched nearly 2 kilometers from bow to stern, but unlike Council ships that prioritized armor and firepower, she'd been designed for something the galaxy had forgotten: speed and precision. Her hull was a composite of metamaterials that could dissipate energy weapons and deflect particle beams. Her engines could push her to velocities that would tear conventional ships apart, but her real innovation was the gravitic skip, drive humanity's refinement of Council FTL technology. Standard galactic drives opened stable wormholes, safe and predictable. Titan's drive could do that, but it could also make microjumps, appearing and disappearing across a battlefield like a ghost dot in simulations. Titan had defeated 50 Council Spec dreadnoughts simultaneously. Today, she would face 300. All stations report ready. Captain, his XO, Commander James Park, reported. We're ready to make history. Webb activated ship-wide communications. This is the captain. In a few hours, we will jump to Earth, not to conquer, not to threaten, but to stand between our homeworld and those who think they can dictate our future. He paused, choosing his next words carefully. The Council believes humanity is too young, too reckless, too dangerous to be allowed freedom. They're wrong about the first two. But the third? He smiled grimly. The third they're about to learn is absolutely correct. Helm initiate jump sequence. Space folded, and Titan vanished. The first indication Admiral Kresh had that something had gone terribly wrong came 38 hours into the countdown, when his sensor officer began screaming. Gravitic distortion at system edge. Massive energy signature. Nothing in the database matches. Admiral, it's asterisk. The view screen shifted, and Kresh felt his secondary heart skip a beat. The ship that dropped out of FTL at the heliopause was like nothing in the galactic database. Where Council ships were bulbous, armored fortresses bristling with weapons, this was a blade sleek, dark, its hull seeming to drink in the starlight. It was massive, easily matching his flagship in size, but it moved with a grace that should have been impossible for something so large. Identify that vessel, Kresh demanded. Transponder reads as UNSS Titan, United Nations spaceship. Registry, Earth Defense Force, Admiral. The sensor officer's voice trembled. Its reading is a human vessel. Impossible. The humans don't have military ships of that class. Our intelligence is 15 years out of date, Commander Throw finished quietly. Admiral, I'm detecting weapon signatures we've never encountered. Power readings that don't match any known reactor configuration. That ship shouldn't exist. A communication request pinged across fleet channels, audio and visual, broadcast on frequencies that should have been secured. The fact that the human ship had cracked their encryption protocols so casually was almost as disturbing as its existence. Admiral Kresh accepted the connection, and a human face appeared on his screen. The man wore a dark uniform with insignia that matched no Council military tradition. His expression was calm, almost pleasant. Admiral Kresh, I presume? I'm Captain Marcus Webb, commanding the Unsea Titan. I understand you and your fleet are conducting exercises near my homeworld. I thought I'd drop by to observe. Professional courtesy between military officers. Kresh's mandibles clicked in agitation. Captain Webb, you are in violation of Council space traffic protocols. Your vessel's presence here is unauthorized. Funny thing about that, Webb replied. Earth never actually signed any treaty restricting our military movements in our own system. We signed trade agreements, cultural exchange programs, technology sharing arrangements. But sovereignty over Sol system? That remained explicitly with Earth. I checked multiple times. Had 3 different law firms review the documents. He was right. Kresh felt the certainty of it sink in his gut like cold stone. The Council had been so confident of humanity's compliance that they'd never formalized military restrictions. This is irrelevant, Kresh said, trying to regain control. Your vessel will power down its weapons and submit to Council inspection. Or what, Admiral? Webb's voice remained conversational, but something dangerous flickered in his eyes. You'll fire on a military vessel in its home system during peacetime? That would be an act of war. And I don't think the Council wants to start a war today. One ship, Kresh said, letting contempt enter his voice. You have one ship, Captain. I have 300. Do you really think Titan moved? One moment she hung at the system's edge, stationary. The next, she was gone, micro-jumped across 20 million kilometers in an instant, appearing within weapons range of Kresh's forward element. Alarms shrieked across the fleet as targeting systems struggled to reacquire. Demonstration 1, Webb said calmly from the viewscreen. Gravitic skip drive. We can appear anywhere within a light minute instantaneously. Your tactical computers can't track us. Your weapons can't target us. We exist wherever we choose to be. Titan fired DOT not at the fleet, at a derelict asteroid that had been drifting through the system, flagged as a navigation hazard. The railgun strike was invisible, no energy beam. No plasma bolt, just kinetic force delivered at a significant fraction of light speed. The asteroid, nearly a kilometer across, simply ceased to exist. One moment, it was there. The next, there was only expanding debris and a fading shockwave. Demonstration 2, Webb continued. Mass driver technology. Kinetic kill vehicles traveling at relativistic speeds. No energy signatures to detect before impact. No shields in your arsenal can stop them. Just physics mass times velocity equals your ships turned into expanding clouds of plasma. The fleet was in chaos now. Kresh could see it on his tactical. Display captains breaking formation, weapons charging, shields activating in panic. 3,000 years of tactical doctrine evaporating in the face of something they'd never imagined. Stand down. Kresh roared at his fleet. To Webb, he snarled, This is an act of war. No, Admiral, this is a conversation. Webb leaned forward. And for the first time, Kresh saw something beyond professional courtesy in the human's expression. He saw anger. For 15 years, we've played by your rules. We've accepted your guidance, your restrictions, your carefully worded suggestions that we know our place. We've been patient, polite, diplomatic. Titan vanished again, reappearing on the far side of the fleet. Every ship's sensors screamed as the human vessel achieved a position that should have been impossible. But we've also been learning, Webb continued. Studying, building, preparing for the day you dropped the mask and showed us what you really thought of us. You call us children? We're the species that went from wooden sailboats to orbital rockets in 2 centuries. We're the civilization that split the atom before we had computers. We don't advance at your pace, Admiral. We sprint while you walk. You cannot prevail against the might of the Council. Kresh insisted, but his voice lacked conviction now. Watch. What happened next would be analyzed in military academies across the galaxy for generations. Titan engaged in what Captain Webb later described in his official report as a limited defensive demonstration. In practical terms, she proceeded to dismantle the fundamental assumptions of galactic warfare. She micro-jumped through the fleet formation, appearing at points of tactical advantage for microseconds at a time, just long enough for her point defense grids to lock onto targets. Missiles that could never catch her. Energy weapons that couldn't track her. She was a ghost, a phantom, death moving faster than thought. Her railguns spoke, not to destroy, but to demonstrate. Warning shots that passed within meters of Zalthian. Hulls, each one carrying enough kinetic energy to core a dreadnought. Her missiles deployed in elegant patterns, their guidance systems quantum entangled. Responding at speeds the Council couldn't match, weaving through what should have been impenetrable point defense. Fire. She never fired a killing shot. She didn't need to. In 6 minutes of combat, 6 minutes that felt like hours to the Zalthian crews, Titan proved beyond doubt that she could have destroyed every ship in the fleet. She painted target locks on Kresh's flagship 17 times. 17 times where she could have ended him and chose not to. When she finally ceased fire and took position directly between the fleet and guide, Earth a clear guardian stance, the silence across all channels was absolute. Webb's voice, when it came, was quiet, calm, and more terrifying than any battle cry. You wanted to know if humanity was ready to join the galactic community as equals, Admiral? Here's your answer. We're not asking for permission anymore. We're not begging for acceptance. We are declaring, here and now, that Earth is sovereign. Sol system is ours. And anyone who threatens our world will learn exactly why humans are the galaxy's newest apex predator. Aboard Reconciliation, Sarah Chun watched the tactical feed with a mixture of awe and vindication. David stood beside her, speechless. My God, he finally whispered. We actually did it. Not yet, Sarah said, but she allowed herself a small smile. Now comes the hardest part. Her communicator chimed priority signal from Council Station Omega. High Chancellor Vexter's face appeared, and Sarah had the satisfaction of seeing genuine shock in his ancient eyes. Ambassador Chun, perhaps we should reconsider the terms of our earlier discussion. I think that would be wise, High Chancellor. Sarah kept her voice professionally neutral. However, I believe a new framework is needed. One that recognizes Earth as a full member of the Council, with complete sovereignty and voting rights. One that acknowledges humanity's right to self-determination and military self-defense. These terms are highly irregular. So is everything about humanity, Chancellor. You said it yourself. We don't fit your traditional models. Perhaps it's time the galaxy accepted that as a feature, not a flaw. There was a long pause. Sarah could imagine the frantic consultations happening on the other end. Military advisors running simulations. Political officers calculating outcomes. Finally, your terms are acceptable. We will begin formal proceedings immediately. 6 months later, Sarah stood in the council chamber once again. But this time, Earth's platform was positioned at the inner ring full member status, equal to any civilization in the galaxy. Captain Webb stood beside her in his dress uniform, Titan in orbit above the station as both honor guard and reminder. The vote to ratify Earth's new status was unanimous. No one wanted to be the civilization that voted against the species with the scariest warship the galaxy had seen in a millennium dot. As they left the chamber, Webb leaned close. They're still afraid of us. Good, Sarah replied. Fear creates respect. Respect creates space for negotiation. And negotiation, that's where we actually win. Think it'll last? Sarah looked out at the stars, at the vast galaxy humanity was now truly part of. We proved we can fight. Now we have to prove we can coexist, build alliances. Show them we're not just warriors. But we are warriors, Webb said quietly. When we need to be, Sarah smiled. But we're also explorers, scientists, artists, dreamers. We're complicated, messy, human. And now the galaxy knows you can work with us, or you can get out of our way. But you can never, ever underestimate us again. Above them, Titan cruised silently through the void, a sleeping dragon guarding its hoard. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity had arrived, and the stars would never be the same. The end asterisk.